Imagine an army that has never lost an entire war in 300 years. Even after the bloodiest defeats. Even when the enemy slaughtered 40,000 soldiers in one day. Rome is simple. He was assembling a new army. And he won. How? The answer is not in guns. And not in numbers. The answer is in one detail that almost no one talks about, and I'll show it to you towards the end of this video. Watch to the end, because the most unexpected reason for their invincibility lies not in battle, but where no one is looking for it. To begin with, they're doing everything wrong. People think the legion was invincible because the Romans had the best weapons. This is a myth. The gladius, a short sword, was copied from the Spaniards. The shield, the scutum, was borrowed from the Gauls. Even legionnaires often wore armor for the enemies they killed. Rome did not invent weapons. Rome was inventing a system for how to use it. And here is the first detail that is kept silent in most videos. A Roman soldier practiced using a wooden sword that weighed twice as much as a combat sword, rather than a really sharp blade. Every day. For years. When a legionnaire picked up a real gladius, it seemed to him as light as a stick. His punch became faster than any opponent simply because his muscles were used to the double load. But that's not the main thing either. The second secret is the shovel. Yes, an ordinary shovel was more important than a sword. After each day's march, even if there was less than an hour left before the battle, the legion would build a fortified camp. A moat, a rampart, a stockade in a few hours, every night, thousands of times in a career. The enemy could attack suddenly and hit the wall. No other ancient army did this systematically. That is why it was almost impossible to surprise the Roman legions. Subscribe to the channel. It will be even more interesting next, because we are approaching what the history textbooks are silent about. Now about discipline. Everyone has heard about decimation, the execution of every 10th soldier for cowardice. But few people know, it was used extremely rarely, literally several times in the entire history of Rome. It was not an everyday horror, but a psychological time bomb. The very knowledge that such a thing was possible kept the legion in check more effectively than any constant punishment. Fear worked for anticipation, not execution. But here is a fact that overturns the usual idea of the brutality of the Roman army. The legionnaire did not serve for free or out of fear. He served for the sake of the contract. 25 years later, the state gave him land, citizenship, and sometimes money for the rest of his life. The legion was not just a military machine. It was a social elevator for the poor from all over the empire. That is why people volunteered to serve, from provinces thousands of kilometers away from Rome. But the most important mistake in understanding the legions will be revealed right now. People believe that the legion won at the expense of a single Roman blood, a single people, a single spirit. It is not true. By the 3rd century, most of the legionaries were not ethnic Romans at all. They were Gauls, Spaniards, Syrians, Egyptians, Germans. People who could have been each other's enemies a year ago. Rome did not create an army from one nation. Rome was creating a system in which any outsider in 20 years became part of the machine and ceased to be an outsider. And here we come to the main point. Back to the detail that I promised to reveal at the beginning. The real strength of the legion was not in the sword, not in discipline, and not even in the camp. She was in rotation. When the first line was tired in battle, it did not retreat in panic. She marched back through the ranks of the second line in an orderly fashion, and fresh soldiers came forward. The enemy fought the same opponent hour after hour. Rome was constantly changing fighters, as if it was fielding a new army every few minutes. No enemy of Rome has ever learned how to resist this. It is this detail that explains why Rome lost battles, but almost never lost wars. The defeated legion was being rebuilt, trained anew, and returned. The system proved to be stronger than any single defeat. After a few centuries, this system collapsed, not because of a stronger enemy, but because Rome stopped investing in training, camps, and rotation. The car stops without fuel, even if the armor is still intact. If you take one thought out of this video, take this one out: the greatest armies in history did not win with weapons. They won with a system that they had been building for years, unnoticed, without spectacular battles. If you were interested in learning something that is usually silent, please like it, subscribe to the channel and write in the comments about which ancient army to tell next time.